Excel Language School. A real passion for learning.
Hi, it's David again, and I'm here to talk to you once again about IELTS writing. And specifically, I'm here to talk to you about IELTS Task 1 writing. And this week, we have a new chart to talk about. Before we start that though, let's make sure, just go through the basic details that IELTS writing has 2 tasks. We're going to talk about task 1 today. It's worth about 1/3 of the total grade, and you should spend about 20 minutes doing this, including planning beforehand and proofreading your writing afterwards. Okay, so let's look at the chart we'll be talking about this week. And here's the question. The chart from 2017 gives information about how many times per year people from selected European nations used credit or debit cards. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. And now, I gave this student a 6-6.5 grade on this essay, and I consider it a good essay. Now, the student made 2 mistakes in the first sentence. The first mistake was that the student used the present tense verb pay instead of the past tense verb paid. Now, most of the time when you are going to write a task 1 essay, it is mostly a chart or a graph about things that happened in the past, and so you're going to have to know your past tense and especially your past simple very well, including all of the irregular forms of the verbs and the spelling rules. And the other error that the student made in the first sentence is that she misspelled a very basic word, which is the word annually, which has 2 N's and 2 L's. And annually is probably a very useful word to know, and a word that will appear in task 1 very frequently. So it's a word you should really study and have down, be very confident in your usage. And the second sentence was perfect. I found no mistakes in it at all, and the last sentence of that paragraph was quite good, but after the student named 2 countries, that is Germany and Italy, the student referred to the 4 remaining countries, and she did not name what those countries were. Now, in my opinion, she should probably write the names of the countries, maybe in parentheses afterwards. Maybe she should write something like parentheses, Sweden, Denmark, France, and Britain, close parentheses. Now, the final word of the sentence is the verb rocketed. The verb rocketed. And this is a great word to use, to the verb to rocket, or even better, to skyrocket. And students like to use this. It's a easy word to spell, and it's a very vivid image, and so that's good. But the important thing to remember is to make sure that it describes the data correctly. And in this case, I believe that the verb rocket is not correct for the data. Now, to give you an idea why I say this, let's look at a different chart. Now, this is not the chart we're writing about, but this is another chart, and it is about opioid usage in the United States. Opioid is a type of drug. And you will see on this chart that the usage of this drug goes up very steeply, very dramatically. And so if you see this picture gives you a good idea what rocket means, what skyrocket means. But if you compare it to the graph that you're writing about, you'll see that the numbers just didn't go up as fast in this case. And so I don't think this verb was appropriate for the student to use in this essay. Okay, so turning to the second paragraph, now the student writing was generally good, but I felt like I needed to make a correction because the student really didn't make clear what years she was referring to. And this was very easy to fix. In one sentence, you just refer to the year 2014, and in another one, you refer to the year 2000. And you should always make clear what time you're talking about. And so I also made a little correction in that I felt that every time the student mentioned a number, that she needed to use either the word annually or the phrase per year, so it was clear exactly what amount of time the numbers referred to. The student made a very basic spelling error mistake, which is she misspelled the word beginning. And so that is a word you really need to know and have down cold for your IELTS. But after that, the student used a construction which is very good. She used the words former and latter, which are very useful for IELTS Task 1. I don't think I'm going to explain them today, but if you don't know how to use the words former and latter, that's something I recommend that you go and you study because it can be a very useful construction for IELTS Task 1. So, moving to the second page of the student essay, you will see that the student wrote one short paragraph, and she started the paragraph off with the linking word secondly. And that's okay, it's not terrible, but I thought the student should use another phrase, for example, on the other hand, to show that the paragraph contained opposing information to the previous paragraph. And the student made one or two minor errors in the paragraph, like for example, she had the past tense verb had and she put the letter S after it. Those two things never go together under any circumstance. That's a very basic error. But generally, errors like that do not interfere with your meaning, so they are not super serious. So I felt that this was a good essay, definitely above a 6, maybe even higher than that. So that's my commentary on this Task 1 essay this week. I hope that I will see you soon, and you will watch another essay about Task 1 and Task 2 writing from the Excel Language School.
Excel Language School. A real passion for learning.